everyone. I'm Natalie Shurtleff. I'm an Associate State Director of Advocacy and Outreach with AARP Connecticut. Welcome to another episode of Coffee and Tea with AARP, our biweekly interview series about issues important to the people 50 plus here in Connecticut. So today, volunteer Art Arpin and I welcome Representative MJ Shannon, who represents the 117th District of Milford, Orange, and West Haven. So before we get into our questions with the representative, I'd like to give Art a chance to share a few words about himself and his role as a volunteer with AARP.
Hey, Natalie, thanks. Hi, Representative Shannon. Thanks for joining us today. Just a little bit about myself. I've been with AARP as a volunteer, I think, for 4 years now, and I concentrate on advocacy and Social Security. And I also teach the driver safety courses, which will get you a discount on your insurance if you take the course, and you'll learn a lot of good stuff. A little bit of background. I came to Connecticut in 1979, and Representative Shannon, I landed right in your district. I lived in West Haven for a couple of years, and I taught at Jonathan Law in Milford.
Awesome.
And so from there, we've moved north, and I live in Rocky Hill now. So, but it was a good few years down there. Always liked the area. My youngest son still lives in North Haven. So lots of chances to get down that way.
Very cool.
Great. Well, thank you, Art, for sharing a little bit about what you do with AARP and a little bit about yourself. So Representative, before we, really dive into the tough questions, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Natalie. So, yep, I'm Representative MJ Shannon. I represent the 117th District. So that includes parts of Milford, West Haven, and Orange. And I'm a little bit biased, but I always like to say I represent the most beautiful district we have in Connecticut. So much shoreline down here. It's very beautiful. Just wrapped up my very first legislative session as a legislator. So that means I'm halfway through my term. But previous to that, I am now no newbie to the building. I was the general law clerk before being elected. So I kind of had a little bit of an understanding, but I've learned so much more through being a legislator. And I am very proud to be a member of our small but mighty LGBTQ plus caucus we have in the legislature as well. Thank you.
Okay,
Right,
so
why don't you-
let's get started. Representative Shannon, first question for you. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
So this is a good one because it's good news in that this past session you championed a bill to prohibit discrimination in nursing homes, and we thank you for that. Tell us a little bit about how that bill is going to help all nursing home residents feel more welcome and comfortable in that environment.
Yeah, that is an awesome question, Art. Thank you so much. And I was very proud to champion what is now Public Act 25-17, but was House Bill 6913. And it was an interesting journey of being brought into that and having the ability to actually take out a bill my freshman year, like in the legislature, and such an important bill in my eyes and to many of my colleagues. It was an important bill. And I really did this because we have an interesting situation going on in Connecticut. We have a very high aging population, but we also have a really high population of LGBTQ plus seniors who are now, looking at options for long-term care facilities or nursing homes and things like that. And we wanted to make sure that when they get to those homes, they are comfortable, they're safe, and they're respected. We already have, anti-discrimination language on the books, but we wanted to bring this particular issue really to the forefront and make sure that these elders who have been fighting for rights for their entire lives, when it's time for them to, live their golden years, we don't want them to have to deal with any harassment or abuse in these long-term care facilities.
That's wonderful. That really is. Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you. It's so important to make sure that nursing homes are comfortable for everyone. I mean, really, these are people's homes. That's where they're living. And so to be able to live in your home free of discrimination is so critical. And really, this is for everyone to make sure that, no one is discriminated against, regardless of who they are, making sure that
Exactly.
they can, live their best lives in their older years.
Hmm.
Great. It's only fall, but the next legislative session is right around the corner. So can you tell us a little bit about what your priorities might be for the 2026 legislative session?
For sure. So, as you might know, and our listeners, this upcoming session is a short session. So, it is a little bit different than what we just went through with the long session. So, individual legislators like myself are not able to propose our own bills. We have to either go through, we can propose them in a sense, but we have to go through the committees and the committee chairs. So that lends to we can have our own priorities, and I do, but as well, we're really just championing the bills that are coming through the committees that we're on and committees that we support. So in this upcoming session, I have a really strong focus all the time on environmental issues, particularly that coastal resiliency. As I said, I live in a beautiful coastal district, and the sustainability efforts that we have been pushing to reduce the impacts on climate change. And we released and got passed an amazing bill last session, and happy to continue working on that front. And right now, we're seeing a lot of serious attacks on our LGBTQ plus community, our trans community. So I'm going to be focusing a lot on those human services issues and making sure gender affirming care is available, and just really standing up for my community that is getting such heinous attacks right now. And we're seeing that all across the country. And of course, the main goal of each session, I think, for a lot of our legislators is really to bring resources and funding back to our districts and the people that we represent. So I will continue that. And there's a lot of amazing projects going on right now in Milford, Orange, and West Haven that I'm happy to be a part of and happy to be working towards finding funding anywhere we can find it.
Great. Can you remind us, what committees do you serve on?
Yeah, so I get to serve on the Environment Committee, the Government Administrations and Elections Committee, and the Finance, Revenue, and Bonding Committee. So, as a first timer, I got a pretty good pick of committee assignments, and being on Finance and GAE were two committees that I honestly didn't really see myself sitting on, just like I didn't know, I don't know much, didn't know much about GAE before, but now I know a lot about it. And just being a freshman, I don't know how many get to sit on the finance committee, so I wasn't thinking about that. But it has given me such an important look at how our revenue in the state works, and how the money comes in, and how we can deal with taxes, and helping all the residents of Connecticut, like with the burdens that they have on taxes and affordability.
Yeah, affordability is just really such an important issue, and the finance committee does really important work. I know one of the bills that they looked at last year didn't make it through, but we're supporting was a caregiver tax credit to provide support, financial support to those that are helping care for their older loved ones and helping keep them at home.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm sure a lot of those bills we will see again, and we will keep championing.
Good to hear. Good to hear. So now during the legislative session, you've probably seen many of us AARP volunteers, and myself included. We show up at the state capitol in our red shirts. I'm going incognito today, but and we advocate on these important issues, like we've talked about the nursing home, the caregiver tax credit, so on and so forth. What else can we do to make our voices heard, in your opinion?
Yeah. This is honestly, thank you, Art. This is really one of my favorite questions to get, because I love working with advocates, and I love just talking to people who are interested in getting involved any way they can. And I do love, the sea of red when you come out of the chamber behind the ropes. It's always great to see our advocates out there. So I just want to take it like kind of one step at a time if I can. So in the beginning of the session, like we're doing right now, it's really great to reach out to your personal individual legislator and
Mhm.
request to meet with them and just talk about what is important to you and do that via email, but really asking them if they can sit down with you and listen to you over Zoom or in person at a coffee shop, something like that. That is like really a great like kickoff step before the session even starts. Like when we are trying to think in our brains what our priorities are going to be for the upcoming session. So that's like a first thing. And then once we start getting into the process and we're there, up in Hartford, we're having committee meetings, that's when it's really great to reach out to the members of the committees that you're looking at, and especially those chairs, because that's the way that we can really get those bills moved through if the chairs and the committee members are all on the same page about something. And that brings us to the public hearing process, which I personally love. And being a former committee clerk, even though I was there for long hours, I really enjoy those days because we get to sit and listen to the amazing advocates and experts and just members of the public to come in and voice their concerns and their opinions on the bills that we're talking about. So that is really one of the most impactful ways, I believe, people can get involved and share their stories. And then once all that goes down, then we get to start. That's when the red shirts come out and we're out in the Capitol, and we got to just start talking to any legislator we can, because any of us will bring those concerns to our leadership and make sure that it comes up for a vote. So really, I think the biggest like takeaway is just to keep being persistent and keep, you start with your person, your actual representative, and then work around everyone else that is working on these issues. And together we can urge our leadership and urge, the governor's office and everyone to really be supportive and bring these bills up. And once they're brought up, we vote them out and get them signed, right? So that's a long drawn out way, but really talk to your legislator, come to the public hearings and get involved. Just have your voice heard. You could always write in testimony as well. That works. Write letters, all that fun stuff.
So, and I agree with you on all that. For example, my representative is Carrie Wood,
Hmm.
and she hosts regular coffee sessions at local breakfast places here.
Yeah.
I've been to a couple of those, and they're very helpful. And she'll get a group of 8, 10, dozen people that they have all their own things, and they talk to her, and she's knowledgeable about everything. So it's definitely worth the time. Can you tell us a little bit? You want to plug anything for yourself in terms of where you might show up?
Yeah, so for October, there's not as much. I don't have like that many outreach things coming up, but in November, I'm planning to have what I like to call pizza and policy. We have them as well as the amazing shoreline. We have amazing pizza restaurants down here. So we gather at the one over in my district, New Haven Pizza Place in Milford, and we're going to be discussing the upcoming session. And I'm planning the same type of coffee hour town hall situations in Orange and West Haven with my colleagues in the delegation as well. And one other thing that I didn't really mention too, just like a tip with the emails too, when there is an issue that a lot of people are emailing us about, that really does set off red flags for us to
Mhm.
look into it and figure it out, because most of the time we get form letters on stuff, but when we get a real deal email from somebody and say it's 5 to 8 people that are emailing about this a certain issue, that helps us know that, hey, these people care about this, because we get a lot of stuff that tells us not to vote for something or not to support something, but those ones that actually want us to support, they stick out. So that's really important.
Right. And
Thank you,
and
Art.
just so you know, when I lived in West Haven, my favorite pizza place was Gabrielle's.
Okay.
And
That's still around, right? It's on the
as
post
far as
road.
I know they
Yep.
moved.
All right, cool.
Yeah, they used to be down the road a little bit, but they always had good pizza.
That's a great one. And we can never forget Zoo Parties in West Haven.
True enough. True enough. Right, right, right. Definitely.
Awesome.
Um, really some great tips there for folks to reach out to their
Our dining
legislators
and viewing pleasure, yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, Representative Shannon, before we wrap up, is there anything else we haven't covered yet that you'd like to share with our viewers?
Yeah, I just want to say like really thank you for inviting me and having this conversation. It's always great to talk to our AARP folks and advocates. And I just like that like hearing from our advocates and residents is about issues is what matters most to us. So keeping connected with your legislator and keeping connected with me, if you're my some of my constituents, is always amazing, and always grateful for the chance to engage with AARP and our different organizations that are doing such important work for our seniors and folks in Connecticut on such important issues of affordability and healthcare. So that's really awesome. And I'm just really proud to represent my district and be focused on bringing resources back to my district and being a voice that my community is proud of in Hartford. Yeah.
Thank you. Any final thoughts, Art?
So the only thing I will say is Representative Shannon, I love your energy. I love
Thank
your
you.
energy. I think that I think that brings a lot to your efforts. You go about it and you really believe it clearly. One of the things I wanted to say was that the forums that you mentioned, the public hearings and all that, and us as AARP advocates going and speaking to people. What I like is the ability to discuss issues and disagree without being disagreeable. And I think that that's very important. And clearly that's, just talking to you for a few minutes, that's something that I think you think as well. And I
Definitely.
think that gets us further than yelling at each other's faces. But that's just me, you know.
Yes, we need to bring people together and sit down at that table and really just talk about our ideas together, and it shouldn't become a screaming match across anywhere or anything, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Definitely.
Awesome. Well, what a great thought to end on there.
Yeah.
So thank you both, Representative Shannon and Art, for joining us. And thank you to all of our viewers for tuning in to another episode of Coffee and Tea with AARP. So join us again in 2 weeks for another episode, and be sure to catch all of our back episodes on our YouTube page and on Facebook. So before you leave, scan this QR code to become an e-advocate and join us as we help to advance policies important to the 50 plus here in Connecticut. So thank you again.